Today's episode of In the Trenches is brought to you by System 12 Guitar Method. Sign up today at ryanroxie.com.
In the Trenches with Ryan Roxie.
Hello, and welcome to another episode of In the Trenches. I am your host, Ryan Roxie. What's happening, folks? Yes, I do have radio voice today. I was told by our guest earlier when we were doing sound check, man, your voice is low. It is low today. What is going on, folks? I am so excited for today's episode. But first, let's let everyone file into the live chat. Where do you get to the live chat? That is Ryan Roxie Official on our YouTube channel. We do thank you for listening to it on our audio broadcast, of course. Spotify has been great. We got it on video these days over at Spotify, as well as iTunes and all your podcast platforms. But what we really want you on is on the YouTube channel, and that is Ryan Roxie Official. Hit that subscribe button that Vic, there he is. He put it right there. Vic Chalfant did the animation. He worked all night. He's always working. If you actually talk to my producer, he's always working on the podcast. We love him for it. And as well as Federica, she helped a lot this week. So there you go, guys. You ready to dive in? I'm ready to dive in the trenches. This is our first animated guest we've ever had on In the Trenches. His first single is actually released today on planet Earth. And we wanted to talk to him about how the entire Evil World Machine concept came to be and all these special collaborators that are part of his orbit. So are you ready? Would you please welcome from somewhere in outer space, now into the trenches, Crossbone Skully. Hello.
Greetings, hello and welcome all my misfits of the universe. Skully has arrived 11/18/2022. I want to thank you for having me here today on In the Trenches with Ryan Roxie. Skully can be anything or anyone, so I will shape-shift into human form so you and I can speak, for I am to bring light upon the darkness. My name today will be Tommy Henriksen, but tomorrow I may be Johnny Depp, or you.
Hello, Skully. Or should I say hello, Tommy Henriksen? Oh, there he is. What's happening, man?
Dude. Anyway, it's Skully.
Skully's among all of us. Yeah. It's a big day for Skully. Huge day for Crossbone Skully, because I got to be honest with you, Skully has been in our orbit for a few years now. I mean, he came into, somehow he visited you. He got in touch with you a few years ago, and you've been working on this super, super hard in collaboration with Crossbone Skully. It's almost like he's right over your shoulder at all times, as we see today. What's the shirt about? Tell us about the shirt right out of the gate.
Malcolm Young, dude. It's to honor Malcolm today. He passed away. How long ago was that already? So it's kind of a tribute to Malcolm.
Tribute to Malcolm, one of your faves, one of your guitar heroes. Obviously, there he is, and it is fitting that the first single of Crossbone Skully, Evil World Machine, is released today. Although we've been hearing lots of snippets, we've been hearing little parts of it on your Instagram account, on Crossbone Skully's Instagram account, and of course, everybody that's watching right now, your duty is to follow some sort of Crossbone Skully site that's out there. There's a bunch of great fan sites, as well as the official Crossbone Skully site. And go follow Tommy Hendrickson. And if you can't find Tommy Hendrickson on Instagram, it's Disvicious. Wow.
Oh, brother.
That's a lot, man. You color coordinate. You're in Roxy colors for sure, man. Got the red head, man.
Yeah,
blue
I
shirt.
wear blue. But I don't know, where do you want to begin with this? Because it's a lot, man. It's been a long work in progress, you know, and it's a lot of people, you know what I mean? Like that's been involved in it, you know.
I think the best way to start off is with the name Crossbone Skully, because I had never heard of a Crossbone Skully, what it is, where did that character's name and where did this person Crossbone Skully come from?
Well, first I just want to say Skully started with Joel Reef, you know what I mean, our old lighting guy, when we were on tour with you know, because he toured with Alice and he toured with the Vampires. So what happened would be me and Glenn would be doing sound check for the Vampires. We'd be always playing like AC/DC songs. And Joel one day came up to me. He's like, what are you doing, man? I go, what do you mean? He goes, are you doing that for real or are you just fucking around?
Because you were doing your voice.
Yeah. I was like, dude, I'm just messing around. And he's like, he looked at me and said, you're missing something, man. You're missing a big opportunity. You should really think about that. And I looked at him, I was like, I haven't done that stuff since back in the days, you know, we were playing the clubs. Like when we would do the clubs back then, it was always like you were honing your craft. Kids can't do that anymore. We were playing like 3 sets a night, you know.
Yeah,
so we'd sing everything from me.
That was literally being in the trenches. That,
yeah.
You know, playing the clubs, 3 sets a night, doing cover shows, cover songs. I call it the international set list. And you try to every once in a while try to maybe mix one of your own in there. Maybe people wouldn't get it. You know, maybe they get it.
Yeah. So anyway, so I took that and we had a break. And then I think we were going back on tour with Alice. And I was home for like, I think it was like, I don't know, like 2 weeks, 3 weeks. And I was like, you know what? Let me just write a couple songs. So I'll do some AC/DC sound stuff, see what it sounds like, you know? Yeah. And I started playing it. And the first song I did was Boom Went the Boom. And which is hopefully the next single, which is my favorite song on the record. So I was messing around with it and I was like, you know what? Yeah, this sounds pretty good. And I was like, and I started, you know, and I'm sitting there going, I think I might be able to do this, you know, because it was like one of those things. It's like,
if Lon Chaney is the face, you know, 1,000 faces, man of 1,000 faces, you're the man of 1,000 voices. Because you've for years and years, we've, me and you are the bookends that sort of our voices blend really well together on the Alice stage, but you have a really good capability of, mimicking an Alice voice if you need to, or going something really high and soft, or something, as a Skully, how Skully transcends through you, and it's the perfect blend of a really good rock voice with melody and hooks.
Well, thanks. I appreciate that. So I did like a couple songs, and and Bon Scott's always been one of my favorite singers. His lyrics, everything about Bon Scott, I was like, he's got balls, he's got character. It's like when I look at a singer like Bon Scott, I go, that's the guy, because he's tough, he's sexy, and he's rough, and Bon, and the lyrics, man, they speak to me, So anyway, so I wrote a couple things, and it was funny because then I sent it to Tommy Denanda, who we've done a lot of stuff with Alice and all these other things that we've done together. And I didn't have time to really play guitars on it because we were getting ready to go back on road. So I called Denanda. I was like, dude, you want to play guitar on this stuff? And he's like, yeah. So I sent him like a couple songs, and he calls me back. He goes, who the fuck is this? And sorry, I won't curse anymore.
You can curse all you want. You know what, T? This is the podcast, and I always put that it has explicit language, knowing in advance that you'd be on the show, and you can't help yourself. Go ahead, drop some F-bombs.
But it was really cool because I sent it to Denanda, and his reaction was like, "What is this?" I go, "It's me." He's like, "No, it can't be." I go, "Yeah." He goes, "Really?" I was like, yeah. So I said, just put some guitars to it. So he put a bunch of guitars to it. And then he said to me, hey, if I got time, can I write a couple riffs? I was like, yeah, dude, of course. So that's how it started working. Then we were just fooling around, and then I did a bunch of stuff for Solo Dallas, Phil, because this is on like COVID too, man.
I remember you were doing some AC/DC covers, right? You were doing.
Dude, Phil helped me out. It's like, we need money, you know what I mean? So I've sold all my cars.
You do what you got to do. I love the fact that we've always been survivors in that sense. It's like you do what you got to do, which I got to talk to you about a gig after the podcast is done. Yeah. I hope Skully approves, but we'll talk about it after.
Yeah. So that happened, and we started working all this stuff. And then Tommy and myself, we wrote, I don't know, we got like 30 songs that we did, because we work at a pace, seriously, that it's like 106 people honestly, they wouldn't believe how it's not fast. It's just we know, you know what I mean, what we want. And he's such an amazing guitar player. Like all I got to do is say, dude, play something like David Gilmour, do Jeff Beck over here, give me Chuck Berry. You know what I mean? Like this guy could do anything. So anyway, so I do that, and we do all these songs, and I'm in LA. This is like 2019. I'm mixing because I was like, you know what? Let's just put this out. I'm thinking about putting it out on Bellyache Records again. You know what I mean? I'm like, well,
Balachi. We all love Balachi's probably watching right now. Shout out to Balachi Records, everybody.
Yeah. So then I'm sitting there, and I'm at JD's place, Johnny's place, and his studio's downstairs, mine's upstairs, and downstairs you really can't hear when people walk in because I got it like so loud. And I'm sitting there cranking the shit out of this thing.
In case people don't know, the Johnny we are talking about is Johnny Depp, and you have all your studio equipment at one of his houses that was, while the trial was going on. I'm sure that house was mentioned a few times during the whole entire thing, and probably a few of the events that happened were around that area. I mean, I'm glad to see that all your recording equipment made it out safe without anything, no defecation on it or anything like that. Everything was good with your studio equipment, right?
But dude, it was just so I was just working on stuff because I was like, let me just mix it. We'll put it out there and we'll do it, just see what happens. And all I remember is I was doing Bone Machine, this song called I'm a Bone Machine. And I just feel this tap on my shoulder, and I'm like, fuck. And I'm like, who's that? It's Ross Halfin. And he's like, Tommy, I can't do Ross's act, but I'll try.
Sure you can.
What is this shite? And I look at him, I go, why? And he said something like, he goes, because I think it's quite good. And I went, wow. Really? Because Ross hates everything, Yeah,
I was going to say what Ross is this shite is probably the biggest compliment that Ross Halfin's ever given anyone.
But
what is this shite?
But I do respect his musical opinion and everything because he's pretty on point about a lot of stuff. I give him that, man. You know what I mean? Right. And I turned around. I said, well, you're probably going to hate it even more. He goes, why? I go, because it's me, Ross. And he's like, no, it's not. You can't sing like that. And I was like, yeah, I can. So then,
you do a good, really cool. You do a good Ross Halfin. So the name is coming. I'm sure it is. At one point, who gave that name to you, or where did it come to you from?
I just got, and I'll make it a little quicker. So what happened was Ross says, I want to play it for a friend of mine at some record company. I want to bring him up here. So I was like, okay, no problem, Ross. I was like, but I'm not looking, I just want to put the thing out. Ross was like, no, tell me. So it was cool. Ross brought this dude up, this guy. And this guy looked at me. He's like, I want to sign this. And I just started laughing. I was like,
of course you do. If
I was 25, I'd be like, really? So when he says, I want to sign, I was like, okay, cool. I was like, I'll tell you what, when I finish this, I'll send it to you. He's like, all right, no problem. So I go back to Switzerland. This is like 2019, late January, early February. I call up Nanda and I go, you know what, man? Because Tommy's been telling me for the past, 10 years that, my buddy's Mutt Lang, and all these other things. I was like, okay.
Little backstory. Hold on. I just want our audience to catch up, follow along with us, because a lot of people will say these names like everybody knows them because we all know them. Right. We read the liner notes of all our favorite albums, and I'm sure our audience has too. But just to catch a little backstory, Mutt Lang, producer of pretty much all the amazing AC/DC records, all the amazing Def Leppard records, and of course, all the amazing Shania Twain records.
Bryan Adams too, dude.
Well, no, he's produced everyone, but I had to put Shania Twain in there just so Vic could go find the internet and find a picture of Shania Twain real quick, which he's probably trying to do. So Mutt Lang somehow gets in the mix on this. you know, because he's friends with Tommy, and then you got this thing. Now it's rolling. Things are rolling.
It wasn't rolling at all. It was
No,
like one of those things where it was just like, I said to Denander, I go, why don't you play this for your buddy Mutt? Because I'm thinking, you know, Tommy was full of shit. So he goes, oh, no. You know, something like, you know, Mutt, he's saving rain for us and he's retired. He doesn't do this anymore. I was like, what do we got to lose, dude? He's like, okay. So he sent it to Mutt. And this is February now, 21st. I get a phone call. I got a little document. I wrote a lot of stuff down because I wanted to really, it was one of those moments in my life. I was like, this is a very important moment in our life right now. And I remember Denander called me up on my birthday. I was skiing with Mr. Finn. No, I don't ski, but I get this phone call like, dude, happy birthday, motherfucker. Something like, happy birthday, fucker. And it hangs up. I'm like, next call rings. I see this Swiss number. I'm like, I don't know anybody in Switzerland. So
right, you've only lived there for now like 10 years.
I know.
You don't know anybody.
So I see this number, and this guy goes, Tommy Henriksen. I go, who is this? He goes, Mutt Lang. I got your number from Tommy Denander. And I went, what? I go, come on, dude, don't be fucking punking me right now. You know what I mean? I was like, because I said, you're my favorite producer. I know Denander put you up to this. I was like,
you sure this isn't
man. Ross
Halfin?
You know, so he goes, no. He goes, Tommy sent me the music. And I went, what? I said, so you actually know him? He was like, he laughed a little. He's like, yeah, I do. I was like, can you hang on a second? I remember putting the phone down and going, no, man, this can't be real. You know, honestly, I almost started crying my eyes out because I was like, oh my God. I was just like, holy shit. So I get choked up from that. So then I get back on the phone and I go, what's happening? He goes, listen, I got the song and I want to play around with it. I think you got something here, mate. And I was like, really? I was like, are you sure? He goes, no. He's like, you're saying some stuff here. You're saying some stuff here. He's like, send me a track. I'll fool around with it. I'll send it back to you. And I was like, I got no money.
At least you were up front with him right out of the gate.
Because it's like, I said, I got no money. And he's like, Tommy, I don't need any money. He goes, let me just play around with it. So I was like, okay. I hung up the phone. I called Denander back. I go, dude. He goes, Mutt's loving this stuff. And I was like, I don't know what to do. I still feel the same way where I go, it's still unbelievable to me, you know?
Well,
so
yeah, it's a great story, man. And the thing is, I can completely understand why he would like it. It ticks so many boxes of what Mutt Lang's about. Huge choruses, big hooks, big guitar riffs, and then, you know, your sort of approach to putting on vocals is a lot like or similar to Mutt's, because you actually learned how to produce a lot of your background vocals from those Mutt Lang albums, right?
Yeah, I've learned so much. So the whole thing with Mutt was, there was one point where I said to him on the phone, I said, Mutt, you know, I'm not a young guy. You know, I'm an old guy. And he said something to the fact like a young person hasn't lived your life or something. I don't want to misquote him, but he said something that was like, wow, you know, because I had to tell him, I was like, I'm not some young kid, dude. That's like 25 years old, you know. It's willing
to sign the first record contract that comes their way. I get you.
So it was like one of those things where I was like, wow, man, this guy actually. So week or two go by, I forgot how long it was, and I see this email. It says the boom went to boom, and it's from Mutt. And I look at it and I go, oh man, I don't want to listen to it. I walk in the room and I said to Sandra, I go, listen, I need to sit with this for about an hour. She's like, what is it? I go, I can't even explain to you because she doesn't know Mutt Lang is and that stuff.
You're explaining it now. I love it. So
I went into the room and
probably this room that you're in right now.
Exactly. Right here. I went in the room, I put on my headphones, I pressed play, and all of a sudden I heard the intro. I went, oh my God. And I started crying like a fucking baby, dude, because I was like, this is what it's supposed to sound like, man. You know, and I was sitting there going, holy shit. And I remember I listened to it for about 45 minutes, and I called up Denanda and I go, dude, and Denanda's like, "In Mutt we trust," and I was like, I was like, so I call him back, and I go, Mutt, anyway, I don't know what to say, but can I just fanboy out for a second? And he started laughing, and
Please proceed.
And I go like this. I go, you know, I've always tried to make records that always sound like yours. I try and sing backgrounds like you. He says, yeah, I know, I notice. You know what I mean? And all these things. And I said, I just want to tell you that this is like, it's an unbelievable opportunity for me to even have you listen to music, you know, that I'm part of.
Much less being a huge part of it. Yeah.
Dude. So, and I said, I can't thank you enough. He's like, listen, he's like, so do you like the track? I was like it. I go, dude, this is why you're the best producer who's ever lived. I go, this sounds fucking incredible. He says, so you want to carry on? And I went, what? I was like, what do you mean? He goes, send me everything you got. And we already had like 17 songs. So I was like, and that was it. And then we were off to the races, dude. And then
you're like Charlie in the Chocolate Factory. Willy Wonka just gave you a golden ticket with that one. Him, of course, Mutt Lange being Willy Wonka.
And I mean, there's so much to it, but I'll leave more of that out. But anyway,
again, I'm trying to get to the point of where
I know
this album becomes more than just an album, becomes a concept and becomes an alien.
Thank you very much.
Keeping you on point, T. Just can't to keep you on point.
So when we started doing the record stuff like that, I'd be throwing ideas around with Denanda because we're all like we like UFOs and space and all that kind of stuff, and I was like, man, it'd be really cool, you know, because I wanted to write stuff about stuff that I know about, you know what I mean? And Crossbone Skully, the way the name came up, I was Googling stuff like protest songs and songs about poverty and all these things because it's like that's my life, you know. And there was a song by Aunt Molly Jackson called Crossbones Skully, and I was like, huh, that might be a good name for a band. So I put it down. I just wrote it down. But I was like Crossbone Skully, and then I had another one called it was I forgot I had like 3 names, and I said to Dad, I go, what do you think? He's like, oh, Crossbone Skully, that's the one. I was like, all right, cool. So then we started talking, and then Denanda again. He said to me, he goes, we should get Mark Wilkinson to do the artwork. And I was like, how are we going to get him?
Mark, okay, now here we go. Mark Wilkinson. We got to have a little bit of a backstory on this because I was going to bring up Mark Wilkinson because he actually did collaborate a lot, and we'll do it in a little bit of a later segment that we have named That Voice. But Mark Wilkinson, he was the one that great art director, but he's worked with so many huge bands. Judas Priest, the biggest one probably being the iconic Iron Maiden. Is he the sort of artist behind Eddie? Is that Mark?
Or not the original guy, but Mark's been with them for a long time. And Mark is another guy who retired, and he was out, but Denanda contacted him, and we sent them a couple songs, and right away Mark Wilkinson was like, another English guy, how the fuck did you guys get Mutt Lange? I was like, what do you mean? Because we weren't going to tell anyone, you know?
Right.
And I still feel weird because Mutt's very private, you know what I mean? And I don't like talking about a lot of stuff like that because it's like,
you know what? We'll keep it under the radar in the trenches for those of you that are watching right now. Keep it in the trenches because this is a very special episode where Tommy is actually divulging a lot of secrets that he would normally not divulge outside of the dressing room. Although I have heard all these stories in the dressing room, and I'm sure there's some people in the chat right now that have known the dressing room. They probably know those other 2 names that were going to be besides Crossbone Skully. I'd love to hear in the chat if you got some comments of which were the other 2 names because Tommy can't remember them at this point, but maybe at one point we will. So
Amanda probably knows him. Tommy knows him. I forgot. But so we contact Mark. Mark's like going, I'm in. What do you want? So I was like, I want to do like an alien, dude. I want to do an alien like a pirate. You know what I mean? That has like characteristics of kind of things that I wear and things that I do and stuff like that. You know what I mean? Right. And I wanted a pirate like a swashbuckling pirate who's coming back to, like a Robin Hood, to save, you know, people who are worth saving, and fighting corruption and all of this stuff. I wanted a record, dude, that's like something to say. I want to say something. It's like, all I do is I hear music. I go, what are you guys saying?
Right.
It's so stupid. I hate to say it, but it's just like, I sit back, I go, I can't put music out like that. I gotta, you know, it's like,
You wanted,
you
to have a point. You wanted to have people think about it, but you also didn't want people just to think about the artist singing it, because that's why you made a character. And there's a character with a bunch of supporting characters to it.
And the thing was, when Mark brought Skully to life, I was like, oh my God, there it is. Now I know where we're going with this thing. That when Mark did that, when we saw that drawing, I went like this. I looked at Skully. I went, man, you're about to come to life. And I never forgot it. And I was like sitting there going, oh my God, what are we going to do? What are we going to do? This is great. Now I know what we're doing here. Now we got Crossbone Skully. We'll figure out a story and we'll do this thing, because then we got this over here and we could use this. And dude, it's been a lot of like going back and forth with so many people that I've like talked about this with, where ideas, with stories and everything, where the story started, it's turned all the way around.
But the difference is you've been able to talk about it, but turn it also into a reality. And now that reality is that single is out today, and you have a host of collaborators that have helped with all the characters that have been developing. So, okay, Crossbone Skully gets developed first. Who was the next character in the story that came about? And, you know, maybe we can go through a little bit of this list of characters.
Well, the next character that came about, I talk to Coop about it all the time, like, because Alice is so good about this stuff. I said to Coop, I said, I got to pick your brain on some stuff. I got this story here we're working on. I was like, take a look at it. And he looks at me, he goes, nah. I played it for my buddy Lewis. You know, like my buddy Lewis is great, like really writer. Joel. I mean, I was throwing this around everyone. But Coop was the one. He said, Coop and Lewis were like, it's got to be a love story, dude. He's like, every big blockbuster movie is about a love story. And I was like, going, God damn it. You know, because I was like,
it's true. It's true, man. It's either saving the world or a love story. And you've got both, if you think about it.
And the whole thing, it's like, the lyrics are kind of like my life. You know what I mean? It's like, it's about, I feel the record is about survival. You know, it's like I was I did this thing with the guy who was writing up the bio, this guy Roy, and he said to me, he's like, you know, Tommy, you know, you've been second banana your whole career. And I looked at him, I was like, yeah. And he's like, this New York guy, he was really funny. He goes, you know, but you know, I mean, you're doing this record. He's like, it's amazing. He's like, but you know, is this like to spite people? I looked at him, I said, Roy, he said something like that. I was like, Roy, no. I was like, this record, dude, it's about survival, man. I go, it's about everything that we've all been through. You know what I mean? Like, not only myself, but all of us, you know, like all of us have been through like struggles, hardships, mental health, depression, you know, where's the next paycheck coming from? All of these things, dude, you know, like I sit back and I go, you know, I got to write all this down. Because it's like this, you know, and the thing about the record is it's not about politics. It's not about religion. It's not about sex. It's about everything, you know, and everything that I like. And some of the stuff, you know, it's going to, you know, definitely have people saying something. I don't know what, but I'd rather have people talking about it instead of being some like Paul Stanley said, if you like Kiss, that's great. If you love Kiss, that's okay. But if you're in the middle, get out, you know?
I can't believe that, well, Paul is not one of, well, we don't know if Paul's one of the collaborators in on this.
Alice, Ryan.
But Alice was the one that gave you that thing. It's got to be a love story. So which was the next character that evolved?
So the next character that came up, I was like going, oh my God, it's a love story. So we were thinking, first character we had with Skully was, all right, the Big Bad Bone Crusher. We wrote a song called Big Bad Bone Crusher, me and Denani. Okay. And then I was like, oh, that's cool. And then I was like fooling around with like names and characters and stuff like that. And we'd be throwing them back and forth. And then I said to Coop one day, every morning, I like, whenever I'd see him at breakfast, because, you know, sometimes I'd go to breakfast with you guys at golfing, but I'd pick his brain. I'd be like, Coop, what do you think of this? He's like, nah, there's got to be a source to Skully's reasoning, why Skully is like coming back to Earth. He goes, what is the source? And I'm looking at him going, I don't know. One night before we're going on stage, I'll never forget it, the Frankenstein intro, well, you know, the intro to the show's being played, and he walks over, he looks at me, and he goes, I got it. I look at him, I didn't know what he's talking about, because this was like a week ago. He goes, the sorcerer. And I went, what? He goes, the source to Skully's evil is the sorcerer. And I went, I was like, get out of here. I run up on stage, you know, I look at him, I was like, we got on stage,
That's
like,
cool.
I
I
go,
never even heard that story. I've never heard that. That's cool.
So then the sorcerer, and all of a sudden it's like, okay, now we got Skully's gonna be battling against the sorcerer. And I'm like thinking, all right, the sorcerer, it's gotta be like music, it's a frequency. Then we had the song we did, like I think it's called War Drums, which will be coming. Because we have so many songs, dude. We have like realistically,
tell people, you know, tell people to enjoy this record, but don't worry. Enjoy this record, but don't you worry, because I've hung out on many a FaceTime call with you where I've gotten to hear a lot of cool material that you people out there have not heard just yet. Yeah. You will someday, but right now, Evil War Machine released today. Today. Got to go check it out. We're gonna really quickly. For those of you that are in the chat right now that can't wait, but obviously you're going to wait until after this podcast, to go check out Crossbone Skully's newest single. It's on all the streaming platforms right now, but the best way to find out all your information and get a sneak peek, folks, after this podcast, check out crossboneskully.com. Is that where that, Vic, is? Is that the actual thing? If you can put up the little site there for those of you that, there it is, crossboneskully.com. And of course, at Crossbone Skully on all your major social media platforms right there. Man, you're even on TikTok. Well, of course, Skully's on TikTok. Of course, Skully. He's so hip. He's on top of things.
No, but I'll get to let me just do this real quick. So when we made the records and stuff like that, like we'd go back and forth and stuff. So anyway, so Denanda played the guitar. Ole Romo, who's Mutt's engineer, is an amazing mixer. He mixed all of the songs, the whole records. And Mike Plotnikoff, he's the one who actually got the deal with Better Noise. Like I called him up when I was like, hey, Mike, can you play this for Kovac? And Kovac, I got to tell you, man, he signed it, called me up that day. He's like, I want to sign it. And
it's Alan Kovac. That's it. And I know that somehow he manages Motley Crue as well. And so, like, I know we're giving just throwing a lot of names out there, but if you guys want to do the backstory and go do the Wikipedia search on all these, we're talking Alan Kovac, manager for many years of Motley Crue. Now is your label head of your label?
Yeah, he owns the label. And then, dude, I had Glenn Sobel play drums on everything. You know what I mean? Like we played like
credit where credit's due. You're always out there, and I know you got your notes. So you got Glenn playing drums as well, Tommy on the guitars. You're doing all the vocals. You talked about Mutt's engineer.
I did all the vocals with Mutt and the backgrounds and stuff, which was an amazing dream for me, like singing it. But Jamie Mahobrack, genius keyboard player, played all the keyboards, you know, and Chris Wise played bass on a couple tracks too, which is cool. I played bass on all the other stuff because I wanted to play bass again, you know? So I was like, I want to play bass again, man. I love it. So it's cool. But anyway, so what happened was, so
a lot of people don't know that you started on bass. That was your thing. And the first time you ever really played guitar professionally on stage is Alice Cooper, right?
Yeah. Yeah. Because Alice said to me, can you play guitar? And I was like, yeah, I can play guitar. I just went on YouTube. I started looking at Ace Frehley and Angus Young. I was like, all right, let me try some of those things. And
isn't it funny that you've done that, and we've actually, you know, Ace Frehley, Angus Young, that's basically all the music that we have, you know, when we're getting ready for a show anyway. We play those same songs still to this day. Yeah. And here you are. I love it. So, go ahead.
So then so what happened was, so we make this record with those guys and do all this stuff. And so I was doing so we have the characters, we're building all the characters, I'd be going back and forth. So I say to making this record, this Helling's record during the COVID thing. You know what I mean? I fly to El Paso and I'm working with Rich Fortis, you know what I mean? And Richard's like another amazing guitar player.
Richard Fortis plays in the band Guns N' Roses. Just again, a little backstory. Okay.
So I say to Richard, he goes, "Hey, what have you been playing? What have you been working on?" I said, "I'll play something, man. Check this out." So I play him a couple songs, and Forrest looks at me. He goes, "Dude, this is really, really good." He's like, "You got a manager for this?" I was like, "No." He's like, "You need to call my buddy Scott." And I was like, "Okay." So I called Scott. I sent him the music, and as soon as Scott got on board, everything just changed, because it was like now I had someone who really believed in the music, didn't care. I was this, guy in his 50s, and like really loved the music. And then we sat down and tried to figure out a whole other plan. And then I was like, I want to make this animated movie. So I'm looking online and I see this Hey Beautiful Jerk. They did this thing for Ozzy and Lemmy, this 30th year anniversary of Hellraiser. And I see this, I'm just stumbling across like YouTube, and I was like, "Oh, this looks cool." I was like, so I look at it, I see, "Hey Beautiful Jerk." I said, "Oh, these are the guys who made that." I was like, "Okay, cool." So I was like, send this guy an email, and I write him an email, something like, "Hey Jerk, you jerks do passion projects? Because this jerk, I got a record that I really need something, and I would hope that you guys would work for free," or something like that, because this jerk's got no money. So
I don't want to jerk you around, but go ahead.
So I sent him this email thinking, all right, it's funny, maybe he might answer me. And he did. And this guy wrote me back, and he's like, well, what do you got in mind? He's like, "Let me send you the music." I send him music, and right away he's like, "I love it." He's like, "Let me sit on it." So this guy, Mark, and his wife, G, they sat on it for a couple months. And then finally I was like, "Can you guys do this?" And he's like, and they do so much stuff, like amazing work. And he's like, "Tommy, unfortunately, we're not gonna be able to get to it. And to do a passion project, we need money." And he's like, "And you got the kind of money we need." And I was like, "All right." So I said, "Don't you got any like whiz kids over there, man?" Like,
yeah, maybe that guy, that's sort of the water boy is probably a whiz on the computer. You know what I'm saying? Or the guy in the mail room or whatever. It's like, you got to get that, like, the young gun. Got some young gun.
He's got to have somebody working on this shit too, right?
Right.
So he's like, "Yeah, I'll call you back." So he calls me a couple days later. He says, "Yeah, I got a couple guys." He said, "Try this kid." So I FaceTime with this kid, Riley. And I just look at the kid and I go, "He's the guy." I said, "Now how do I get this kid to do this?" Because Mark said he did a lot of the stuff. So I said, "Hey, man," I go, I got this stuff that I'm working on. I want to make a movie." And he's like, "You know how long that stuff takes?" I was like, "No, I know nothing about animation." And boy, I don't.
Right. When did it become right during that time? Were you done with the record before you said, "Okay, this needs to sort of be an animated project at this point," or did it happen somewhere in there in between?
No, because originally we didn't want to say who it was, because Johnny looked at me when I played him the record one night.
Johnny Depp.
Yeah, and he looked at me, he's like, "Brother, you can't be you on this. People are going to judge you out of the gate, man." He goes, you got to be Banksy or that kid in Ghost. This is your Marlon Brando moment, and you can't have people judge you." And I looked at him and was like, holy shit, he's right. So we were kind of keeping it under the wraps, because it's like, how people are, man. As soon as they, Tiny Hammers, blah, 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 I hate that guy. And I didn't do anything to anyone to hate me. It's like, I didn't even know half the people. Like, they'll write something. It's like, "Oh, he looks like Ben Stiller or something else," or "He's got great teeth for a hockey player." Shit like that.
You do have great teeth, actually, but you paid for them.
You could have these teeth too.
I could.
It just comes at a price. That's another story. At Capitol Records, 1998.
What did you do? I got these teeth, a really nice car, and a house.
And I had to give the teeth back. That was the other funny story.
And the house. You had to sell the house. But
I had to do that too when I got divorced.
But hold on, let's stay on point.
Dude, there's so many things, man.
When it became so Johnny sort of gave you a little bit of inspiration to make it sort of not you, a character, and sort of, that's where Crossbone Skully comes into the fold. You start getting all these characters around. You get these great people behind you to make the record, but then you get a lot of great people around you in your orbit to be a part of the animated version. And you're saying, was it Riley that was the one that's the chief? Who's the chief guy that helped out mostly with all these animation things?
Riley did it all. But
Okay.
I started working with Melanie too. Like me and Melanie been working on like characters and like renderings for like, I don't know, 4 years now. She's got so many of them, and we'll get to that stuff too. But with Scott, you know, like I told Scott what I wanted to do, and he was like, "That's a great idea." I was like, "I want to do a comic book too," because Mutt said one thing. He's like, "Tony, I don't know how much my name is worth anymore." He's like, "You're gonna need a lot more to make it happen," you know. And I was like, "Really?"
No, you don't. I mean, well, amongst us, amongst
Something like
anybody
that. He
from
said.
our generation, Mutt
Yeah.
Lang is gold. But yeah, I get it.
For
You need
me, for me, we already won. You know what I mean? We got to work with the best guy who's ever lived. And plus, I mean, dude, seriously, it's like I'm not. I can't thank that all. You know, so we get that going. And what was the question again?
so Scott, your manager, was
Yeah.
the one that actually
So
said, let's
I want to do the
get into
comic book.
comic
So
book.
Scott
Yeah.
was like, "Oh, this is a great idea." I was like, "I got my buddy John Goldwater at Archie Comics. I've been talking to him for like 2 years now about doing this." Dude, I was talking to Goldwater for like, you know how many, dude, like
Since
3
I
years.
met
I've
you,
been telling
yeah.
you.
Since we started playing together with Alice Cooper, we've been
Yeah.
talking about him and the Archies and how he owns the
Yeah.
Archies, and it's a comic. So the comic book idea concept wasn't that foreign, but to put it to bridge it with Skully and the music and the way
Right.
that Riley has done it so far, and you've gotten all these great collaborators to work on it,
Yeah.
is really exciting, and that's what kind of brings us to where we are right now. Because the biggest thing we're here to promote today is not just the story of Skully, folks, Crossbone Skully, and the single Evil World Machine being out. It's that Skully's going to be making a live appearance, and
Yes.
he's going to be making a live appearance along with Tommy over at the Fan Expo in San Francisco. So it has become a comic book, and I mean, you got to be excited to be promoting it through that as well, right?
Yeah, that was another one of those things. Because Goldwater, I kept on waiting, and Chuck put out his comic book, Beast Blanc. I was like, dude, that looks amazing.
Yeah.
And I was like, who did that? And Chuck hooked me up with these guys at Source Point Press, you know. And then I talked to those guys. I sent it out, and then all of a sudden it was like, let's get this going. Then Scott went to Comic-Con, and Scott said, I think I know how to do this. And all of a sudden we're like, all right, let's do the comic book and the movie with the kid, and then let's get the label where we could do it all together, so we have some kind of story as opposed to just putting out like a video of us playing music or something. I was like, let's do something that's like in the vein of like the Gorillas, like Riley's doing, you know what I mean? Something like that, and keep a kind of, you know, anonymously, you know, because I didn't want, I still, you know, but the label was more like, you gotta do this. And it was like one of those things, okay, let's do it this way. And the plan changed again. So that's why.
It kind of made sense though, because the way that Mark Wilkinson designed Skully to begin with is very comic book-esque. You could see it as a very kind of horror, sci-fi type of comic. And when we started talking about this, like what kind of interesting things would happen with your music and becoming a comic book and becoming an animated film, I started to do a little bit of research on how many other rock stars and comic books have been happening. And that brings us to a huge hot topic, Tommy. It's a hot topic. Let's see if Vic gets the segue there. He does, yeah. Oh, and we should have a sound effect for hot topics. I really think we should. But it's basically when we'll take something that's actually in the national news or in the sort of the topical zeitgeist of what's happening, and that's Kerrang.com. Put out this story about how many other rock stars had comics, and I was pretty surprised that, you know, like you mentioned, Chuck Garrick and Beasto Blanco had a great comic book out earlier this year. There you go, there's their comic book. But I also found out that Gerard Way from My Chemical Romance, there he is, there's Gerard, and Rob Zombie has his own comic book out as well, and all these people that have been in our orbit over the years. There's an Alice Cooper comic book right there. Tom Morello, Corey Taylor, and even Glenn Danzig, who we just ended up playing a show with just a couple weeks ago with the Misfits. That was good. Have you recovered from that, by the way? That was
my voice is just coming back now, Ryan.
Oh man, that was a scary moment, folks, because we got to I think it was Dallas, Texas, and by the time we did Tulsa and Dallas, Tommy had no voice left. And I'm like, what the hell? I mean, he's because he's so we need you. We need you. Well, you know what? In the end of the day, we have to thank Crossbone Skully, because it was all for the Crossbone Skully project that you had to stay up for, I think was 72 hours. And but you ended up getting a good a good performance. And again, that's you know, a little bit later where we talk about voices and whose voice is that. But yeah, the main thing is there have been a lot of rock stars with comic books. What is Skully's take on other rock stars having done that in the comic book world?
I think it's amazing. You know what I mean? I think there's room for everyone. That's the way I look at it. You know, it's like everything's been done before. We just got to figure out how we're going to do it our way. And, you know, but that movie to me is the biggest thing. When you see what Riley's done, it's really, really cool. It's got a cool vibe to it. It's kind of like so what happened was the characters.
That's the thing. Can people go check out a real sneak peek of it over at Crossbone?
Yes, they can. They can go on
crossboneskully.com and go on the link. It's right there on the website right there now. Not now, actually, folks, because I want you to stick around and watch the rest of the podcast. Of course, we're going to have to take a quick little break. And of course, we're going longer than I would ever thought for a first segment.
I thought we could streamline it, but dude, there's just so
you can't. So many things. There's going to have to be another catch up at one point. But let's do this first. Let's take this really quick break. We'll do it about System 12, because I know that there's some guitar players out there. Again, Tommy started out playing bass, but now he plays guitar for Alice Cooper. Of course he does. I don't know if he used the System 12 or not. Maybe he did. Maybe he didn't.
12 every night with you. What are you talking about?
Well, here's a little bit of a break with it. We'll be back with on the back half of In the Trenches and a little bit of System 12 Guitar Method. Love it. Hello, Ryan Roxie here from the Alice Cooper Band, and I'd like to talk a little bit about one of my favorite things, playing guitar. Here at the RGA headquarters, which stands for Roxie Guitar Army, by the way, we've put together a guitar learning system that will get you playing and understanding the guitar faster than any other teaching program out there. We call it the System 12 Guitar Method. And it's designed to make the most out of your time, your effort, and your passion for learning guitar. By combining new school technology, old school mentoring, and the number 12, we have invented a new way to teach guitar. And over the past year, we have helped so many people who wanted to start or continue their guitar journey do exactly that. Now, we'd like to help you. There's never been a better time to start learning guitar than right now. If you think it's too hard, the System 12 makes it easy. If you think it'll take too much time, the System 12 will have you playing in 12 weeks. And if you think it's too expensive, the entire System 12 costs less than what one private guitar lesson would cost you at your local music store. Check out the official site or the links below in the description of this video to join the RGA and get started on your guitar journey with the System 12 Guitar Method. Now, let's get back into the trenches for some more rock and roll. Enjoy the show. Enjoy the ride. Mwah! That's it. And we are back with the Crossbone Skully, who has embodied the body of Tommy Henriksen today. But again, like he said, Crossbone Skully said in the intro, tomorrow he could be Johnny Depp or he could be you. I know we've both been Johnny Depp at one point. Or at least you've been Alice, you've been Johnny Depp, you've been.
I'll be anything, dude. Just call me.
But you know what? Crossbone Skully's in you right now, and the thing that people are going to be able to see you live is at this Comic-Con, or it was Fan Expo.
Fan Expo.
Yeah, it's in San Francisco. It's coming up on the 26th of November. That means you got to get on a plane from Switzerland again and go back to the States. How many times you been to the States this year, brother? We've been there back and forth.
I'm so jet lagged. I'm still jet lagged, but you know, it's like one of those things. At least I got a direct flight, but it's probably like 14 hours or 13, whatever it is.
All for the greater good. All for the cross. You did it all.
And I'll be flying on Thanksgiving, so you know it'll be Thanksgiving. I'll do that, but it's cool, you know. But so. The movie, right? You want to talk about that with the characters? What do you want to do first? So we can.
What I want to do is name that voice, because people are going to check out this voice. Okay. And Vic, do you have some animation for Name That Voice? I heard you put out something. Oh, he's shaking his head. No, He's shaking his head. I thought we'd have this huge bells and whistles animation. He said he was working all night. He's always working. What's he doing? I think you're going to love this section anyway, folks. This is Name That Voice. See, we do our own sound effects. How about like that? So you have a lot of characters and a lot of people in your orbit and outside your orbit have helped out with this project. So far, you've given a lot of praise and thanks where it's due. And but we kind of want to know where some of these voices, who they are. We have the characters. You've been posting up a bunch of sort of little clips on your Instagram, and you guys can go check it out at Crossbone Skully on the Instagram to check it out, these little clips. But the first one I have is the character Big Bad Bone Crusher. Now, Big Bad Bone Crusher. Now he was one of the first characters. Yeah. Yep. That came up, right? And is there a way we can listen to the voice at first, Vic? If you're ready to, and you can put us on the side, if that's possible, let's do that. This is our first Name That Voice.
Let's blow this pop stand sky high. It'll be wicked pisser.
I think I already know who it is just by the fact that the guy said pop stand. But here are the choices, folks. If you think you know who that voice was of the Big Bad Bone Crusher, was it either, which one of these three? Was it Sylvester Stallone, Joe Perry, or Glenn Sobel? Which one, folks? Put it in the comments. You can go. And I guess we should have a drum roll. There it is. Poe Jerry. Joe. Okay. It's pretty obvious. It was Joe Perry. How about that? There you go. See, I wanted Vic to use his animation. Let's go back to the both of us. What do you think about that? Was that great production or what?
That was great, dude.
Should we do another?
Yeah, keep on going. Yeah.
All right. So that was Big Bad Bone Crusher. The next, probably one of the main characters, seems to be the Bringer of Light. And he, what does the Bringer of Light do? What character does that do? Don't tell who it is, but what does he do?
The whole idea of the Bringer of Light is he's bringing light to the darkness. You know, he's like this this being, that's deity that Skully goes to when he needs to have guidance. He goes to the Bringer of Light.
Oh man, that's very fitting. I love it because, well, let's see let's first hear the voice of the Bringer of Light.
Skully, I've been expecting you.
Oh, just very close, very cryptic. Only quick 3 words. I've been expecting you.
Well, it says Skully, I've been expecting you.
Oh, well, you didn't get that, Vic, huh? It didn't come up soon enough. Vic's looking like he's all offended. Like, no, it's not my fault. I'm the producer. So hell, let's see who it is, who the choices are of the Bringer of Light. Is it A, Alice Cooper, B, Ozzy Osbourne, or C, the great Anthony Hopkins? All right, Penny Hooper. That was pretty easy. That one was, even with those 3 words. But there you go. The answer is Alice Cooper.
Going back to Coop real quick, Ryan.
Yep. Let's go
Coop
back to
was the one who, when I said the Coop, I was talking to Kyla and I was like, it would be really cool if I get Coop to maybe do like a voiceover because I think I want to add dialogue to it. And Kyle's like, all right, let me find out. So I say to Coop one night, I go, dude, before he went to the movie, he's like, dude, you want to add dialogue to the movie thing? And he's like, that'd be a great idea. Meet me at my room after the movie. So I went up there with Kyla, and as soon as he put it down, I went, oh my God. That's how all of a sudden all the dialogue came with all these guys. And all of a sudden I went, oh my God, I got to get Johnny. I got to get Joe. I want to ask Nick.
Hey, you're ruining who's that voice. You're ruining who's that voice. Okay, come on, we made a whole big section out of it. No, but that's cool to know that actually Alice, and he is kind of like that big brother that we go to ask advice for all the time. I mean, and he's the Bringer of Light. You know?
Really is. No, he really is, man. I can't thank that guy enough.
Yep. I love it. So let's move on. The Sorcerer. And this is and actually Alice came up with this name of this character, the Sorcerer. He was the source of all of Skully's, the reason why Skully's coming back to Earth, right?
Yes.
Okay. So the Sorcerer, let's hear his voice and see who this could be.
Skully,
You will never find me, for I am the frequency you seek.
You will never find me, but I'm the frequency you seek. Whew, what are our choices, Vic, on this one for the Who Is That voice? Is it actor Adrian Brody? Dude, Robert De Niro? You got him to do it? Or is it our friend Johnny Depp? And I think this one's an easy one. Adrian. No, it's not Adrian. It's Depp. It's Johnny, folks. It's Johnny Depp. He is the sorcerer. And yeah, that was a fun story how you finally ended up getting him to do the voice. It caused you getting his voiceover, like managed you to have no voice for that tour.
I think that because he's such a busy guy, and right now everyone is like, there's a lot of people around him, stuff like that, and for him to take the time and do that, dude, I looked at him, I kissed him, I was like, dude, I was like, thank you so much, and he loved it. He was like, I couldn't get him to stop. As soon as I got him doing it, he was like, he was in character, and dude. Seriously, it was like it was like 6:30 in the morning. I've been up for 3. I was like, going, and I'm sitting going, and he's like doing his thing, and then he's rewriting everything. And I was looking, I'm like, oh, dude, this is amazing, dude. And I can't thank everyone enough, dude. It's like, it really is. It's incredible.
Well, we got two more of Who's Those Voices. Yeah. Then we got some shout outs of the other characters that are involved. And of course, if you listening on the podcast want to delve deeper into each of the characters, you can go to crossboneskully.com. But the next character that we have to listen to the voice is the Crooked Crow. So is the Crooked Crow, what's his role or her role in this Crossbone Skully saga?
The Crooked Crow is the all-seeing eye. The Crooked Crow is the one who's always watching out in all the universes and multiverses, where if he sees something wrong, what's going on, he alerts Skully, and then Skully says, if they worth saving, I'll go save them. There's always a little bit of humor with this, and Alice said they all got to be a little bit kind of crazy, all the characters. So
now is Crooked Crow a good guy or a bad guy?
He's Skully's eyes.
He's Skully's eyes. So let's listen to the Crooked Crow and try and figure out whose voice this could be. Let's go.
I am the watcher of things, Skully.
One more time, play it, please, from the top.
I am the watcher of things, Skully.
Okay, now I've got 2 times to listen to it. I love it. You know what? It sounds like a bass player to me. That's what I'm going to say. It definitely sounds like that's usually the way bass. Oh, look at our choices. We have 3 bass players to choose from. Is the voice of the Crooked Crow Nikki Sixx? Is it Gene Simmons, or is it our very own Chuck Garrick? Who would it be, folks? Let's let the people decide. Oh, someone's saying Sicky Nicks. I don't know who that is. Another person's saying Sicky Nicks. You know what? Wait a second. All these people have been backstage talking to you, Tommy, before. They must know, or they've already checked out your Instagram fight. It is Nikki Sixx. There you go. And check it out. Do you, by any chance, have Nikki Sixx's headband on today?
Yes. Let me tell you, I can't thank him enough either, man. It's like, I called him Nikki. Great. Like, I got this crazy idea, dude. I'll send some stuff to you. And he was like right away responsive. He's like, I'll do anything you need, brother. And when you have guys like that, you know what I mean? Nikki Sixx, another guy, one of my heroes, you know what I mean? And
absolutely.
It's amazing when you have like these guys that they do this, you know, out of the goodness, you know, and it really is. It's like, I don't take none of that stuff for granted, man. And anyway, so do another one, because there's a couple that could throw people off.
All right, this might be the last one we have, and I don't know if there's any more voiceovers for it, but this is the well, for those of you that know Alice Cooper, man, this is not going to be that hard of a one to do. But let's hear the voice of Madame Guillotine, and let's see what she has to say.
Riddle me this, my bringer of light. What can fly without wings?
Oh, that laugh. I know that laugh so well. What can fly without wings? Is there actually an answer to that riddle? A watch can fly without wings?
Time.
Time flies without wings. Oh, hold on there, Cheryl Lisa. We don't even know the choices yet. You know, who put that up? Who put that? Who be producing this podcast? All right, hold on. There's our choices. Boom.
Oh,
Did you? Is that voice of the Madame Guillotine? Is it? Oh God, what's her name? Emily Ratajkowski. I didn't even write it down, Vic, because I couldn't even type when you showed me that picture. Is it Emily Ratajkowski? Is it? I think it's Ratajkowski. Cheryl Cooper, or is it Nita Strauss? And I think you already gave away the answer, Vic. There you go. It's our very own 10,000% Cheryl Cooper. So she got involved as well. You got everybody in the family involved. I really appreciate that. That's amazing that you have gotten. And there's some other, even closer circle characters that are in the story of Crossbone Skully. There's two characters. One, the kid, and the other is Piper. And Tommy, I think you have a very close relationship with those two characters. Is that true?
Yeah. So the whole idea, the other characters that is the Alpha Watchman. It's a lovely picture.
But hold on, that's the kid. Yeah. Go back to that photo right there. That's Finn, and he's basically Scully's protege. Well, I know that there's another story behind that. The love story between Piper and Scully, right?
Yeah. So what happened, like Alice said to me, he's like, Scully's got to, he's got to have a ship that's like MacGyvered together, and it's just got to be like looks like a piece of junk, but it's the most advanced ship. And then he's like, and Scully likes to party, and do all this stuff. So I was like, oh, okay, cool. So then I came up with the thing where I was like, all right, Scully likes to party, he likes to go get laid, drink, and hang out with people. And I was like, okay, cool. So then Scully comes to planet Earth, and he shapeshifts into like a guy, and he sees this chick, but the chick's been planted there, Piper, by these deities and gods who say, you need to reproduce with this guy because we need to find the chosen one. So what happens is Scully, he's drunk, he's having a good time, he likes to bang humans. So he reproduces with this human named Piper, but he feels that there's a connection. So he gives her this lock and key. You know what I mean? The lock and key are part of the story. And he says, if you ever are in dire need, insert the key inside the lock. And so what happens is the sorcerer's been spreading this frequency to all of these weak people. You know what I mean? So, and she is getting affected by this frequency, and she's dying. So the key goes in the lock, and what happens is Scully comes back to save Piper.
But isn't there only one person that the key or the frequency doesn't affect? See, that's a mystery, and you'll have to figure out who that is.
Yeah, I'll leave the rest there.
Yeah,
but
there's a lot to the story, and you've told me before. But then you have a couple other characters. Alpha Watchman, he came up a little bit late, or is that
what happened with the Alpha Watchman? See, Riley's doing all the animation still right now because he's doing all this new stuff. So with the Alpha Watchman, it's being played by Kane Roberts. So, and it's great because, I got to tell you, man, Kane said something to me that really stuck when we were on the road. Because we'd be up at night, and we'd be talking a lot. And he said to me, he's like, Tommy, listen. He's like, you got to look at it this way, bro. He goes, everything you've been working for the past 12 years have led you up to this moment. And he's talking to me. And I said, well, dude, I need a voice of this dog. And he looks at me and goes, what do you want? I go, can you be the voice of the dog? And he goes, yes. I take my phone out. We're on the bus driving to the gig. And I go, can you say a couple things? So Kane starts saying a couple things. And I go, dude, you do this? He goes, yeah, do voiceovers. I went, so you're into doing it? So Kane was like, yeah, I'm in. So I was like, okay, cool. And then I needed a couple other voices. So then the last voice was, I'm sitting there thinking, I'm like going, I really need an English voice. Let me call up Mark Wilkinson and see if he'd be into doing a voice.
Coming back full circle, the guy who designed the original Crossbone Skully logo, which is the album cover, which is the album, the single cover right there, Evil War Machine, which is released today. You see how it comes full circle?
I like the way you said. So
what's his character?
the sorcerer has an apprentice called Bloodwing, Sir Bloodwing. His name is Sir Bloodwing. So I was like, we should get an English dude. So I called Mark. I was like, hey, would you? And Mark was like, Tommy, I'd love to do it. So, and then he did it. And then it all just, it was like a universal. I got to tell you, man, sometimes you're sitting here and you're depressed and you're like, oh my God, I feel like a loser today again. And then you just can't help it sometimes. But then all of a sudden these things come in and you just go, oh my God, I just can't believe that the universe just gave that to me. I mean, I don't sound like weird and stuff, but I was like these things that they pop up, all of a sudden I'm like going, oh my God, that worked. This would be cool. That'd be, you know, and it's really weird.
I think if you ask for something and you do put the work towards that goal, whatever you ask for, I honestly think the world's going to meet you halfway. And I'm so happy to see that it's met you even more than halfway, because a lot of people have taken their time, their effort, and helped out with this Crossbone Skully, as all the people that have been, you know, diehards this entire episode. I've been looking at the numbers, folks. You've been great the entire episode. You've been hanging in there. Thank you so much for being part of In the Trenches today. You know what? I'm telling you, boy, we got to have another sort of another talk about this, perhaps when the next single comes out, or maybe the next time that we're out on the road together or doing something together, we can do it live. But of course, you know, like I said, the podcast, this should give you a little bit of a background about the whole Crossbone Skully saga, the story. And of course, if you want to find out more and support Crossbone Skully, you go to any one of these sites on your social media platform of choice. It's Facebook, Instagram, like I said, even TikTok. You can find the single right now on Spotify, on the YouTube channel. You can find most things at Crossbone Skully, or just go to crossboneskully.com and you can check out that sneak peek. And of course, if you want to check out Crossbone Skully live, and you happen to find yourself on November 26th in San Francisco, go check out Crossbone Skully at the Fan Expo. I heard you're giving away a guitar. Wait a second. I haven't even gotten to that point yet, folks. But the thing is, are you giving away a guitar at this Fan Expo?
Yes, we are.
Okay. And which guitar is that? Is it something? Is it autographed?
Yeah, autographed guitar by the Bringer of Light, Madame Guillotine, and myself, and Scully's on the back. He signed it too, with his face and everything.
I love it. I love it. And
it's pretty exciting. I mean, I hope, you know, like, I hope we get there and there's like people there, you know what I mean? Because I've never been to one of these. I don't know what's going to happen, dude. I have no idea what's happening. I've never been in this world. But it's kind of cool. We're doing a movie there. We're gonna release the animated movie that day. We're gonna play it. We're gonna talk about it, and we're gonna be there every day.
But if you want to see a sneak clip, a sneak peek of the animated video, you can go right on to Crossbone Skully right after this podcast is done. And of course, like I said, there's a couple things we need to talk about. Oh man, because we ran long on the story, but I think it was important to tell the backstory of it. I'll come back. I do have to mention the fan of the week this week, because we did have a sort of competition. If you could get 5 of your friends to come out and like and subscribe to the YouTube channel, the Ryan Roxie official YouTube channel, and the Crossbone Skully YouTube channel, you would be in the running. We came up with a fan of the week right now. She's been very, very supportive. It's Vampire Rock. Let's run at the fan of the week process. Week's fan of the week, Susan Krudowski. There she go. There she is. And you can see there with the storm chaser right there. And Vic got a picture of himself in there. Oh, I love it. Look at that. There she is, Susan. I think Federica put that together for him, but I love it. Susan, you are our fan of the week, but you know what? Everybody else, you are welcome. to become the next fan of the week, all you have to do is get 5 people to subscribe to Tommy and Crossbone Skully's YouTube channel. Subscribe to the Ryan Roxie official Ryan Roxie official YouTube channel, and of course both of our Instagrams. But I think you guys already do. Like I say, I have a bunch more questions, but I think we'll leave it for another time, because the most important thing for people to get out of this is that they can see Crossbone Skully in a bunch of ways. They can see you on the all the streaming platforms. They can see you at this fan expo coming up, and they can also see you in a movie called The Retaliators. And Vic put that up a little while ago. Tell us about that and how that came about, that movie, and what song is in it.
That was from the label, actually. That came from Better Noise, and they did an edit and put Evil World Machine in there, and it was really cool because they didn't say who it was, they didn't promote it, they didn't do anything. And the thing on Spotify, they were really shocked because it was going up 100% up every week. I don't know the numbers game, but they were really impressed with that. They were like, wow, this is really good for not doing like, because we didn't say a name, we didn't have a logo, we didn't do any credit. They just put it in there.
But you know what? If you go and listen to it, like I said, I wanted to play a bit of the video. My producer said we couldn't do it. And you know me, I always want to give the fans as much as I can, but sometimes the producer has to reel you back in from legal issues. And we want this to be seen to as many people as possible. So that I urge you guys to go out and check Evil World Machine out, because it is out today. Tommy Hendrickson, I thank you for letting Crossbone Skully embody you for this past episode. And is like usually I would ask you if you have any sort of life advice and parting word advice that's been handed off to you, but I think I should probably ask Skully, being that he's more of a intergalactical world traveler, if Crossbone Skully has sort of a creed or any sort of good advice for all of us humanoids.
Destroy the evil world machine.
The evil world machine. Money is the root of all, right? What's the line on the song?
Money. I forgot. Money's what they're fighting for. Money chain a simple mind. Money's such a crime. It's just about commerce, dude. It's like the whole song's about, like, it's not only about money. It's just about like everything. There's a lot of things wrong, man. With the world, and it's like, the whole thing about Skully is bringing the divided together and uniting, and everyone could agree to it's okay. You know what I mean? That's the whole thing. If you're left, you're right, it doesn't matter. Let's just do what's right. That's the whole idea. What is right, and caring about people and feelings and not being so caught up in your own fucking world. You know what I mean? It's like this whole thing, like Skully welcomes everyone. Everyone is welcome in Skully's world.
That's how we end it. Everybody's welcome in Skully's world. Everybody's welcome in the In the Trenches world. We thank you guys for joining us today. Tommy, thank you very much. Thank you to everyone on the production spot, on the production end of it. Vic and Federica, thank you as always. And of course, thanks to all the RGA for promoting this episode and getting it out there. Let's keep on going. Again, one last time, if you haven't hit that like or subscribe button, do it right now, so it helps us with the algorithm. And folks, guess what? Next week, we don't have an actual show. We might be doing something special because it is Thanksgiving. I want everyone to enjoy themselves on Thanksgiving. Tommy's going to be flying to San Francisco for the Fan Expo so that Crossbone Skully could do his first live appearance and give away a guitar. There it is. The evil world machine shall be defeated by Crossbone Skully, Tommy Hendrickson, and of course all of us in the trenches. Until next time, folks, I'm Ryan Roxie. Enjoy the ride.
In the Trenches with Ryan Roxie.